Hello and welcome to the Geek BAH Reviews One Piece Vlogs. I'm the Geek BAH Brent here with the One Piece Vlog for the Sakura Arc, also known as the Cherry Blossom or Winter Island Arc. This is the most recent arc I watched with my friend Nick, and now that we're pretty much caught up, I feel it's best to get this done. So the arc starts off in an interesting way. The crew had just left Little Garden, and all of a sudden Nami starts to feel ill. At first it seems like she just has a fever, maybe has a cold or something. But then it becomes really serious to the point where she becomes almost bedridden. She's passing out and fainting, although she's trying to act tough because she wants to help Vivi. It's a very powerful part because from this point, we've seen Nami as this strong person who really doesn't have any big weaknesses. And then we saw the Arlong arc where we found out her history and how she's been doing all that. And, well, she still seemed very strong trying to struggle through it and trying to survive it all and everything. So, this is a part where we really see how vulnerable she can be. Because we see she's just a normal person like anyone. Well, not that this show is full of normal people, but she gets sick, and when she gets sick, if she gets this big bad disease, she can be just as susceptible as anybody. So they are trying to find a way to help her. They do not have a doctor on the ship at the time, which they realize at this point is a very bad thing. So as they're sailing, the ship is suddenly attacked by another pirate crew, led by this obese metal guy named Wapple. Now, he almost looks like he's a cyborg or something, but it's never really revealed what the deal with that is. It probably has something to do with his devil fruit power, which he showcases right away as being able to pretty much eat anything and make it a part of his body. Which is a really weird power, but hey, One Piece is known for being a little weird. So they get attacked by him and his crew, but they basically fend him off rather easily. Luffy just sends Wapple flying. After that, they end up arriving at this unnamed kingdom on an island, a winter island. This is the first winter island they've seen in the Grand Line, so it's all snow all the time. So they're there. There's this unnamed kingdom that used to be called the Drum Kingdom. However, after the former king was basically, well, he ran away because of a big pirate crew run by a pirate named Blackbeard attacked, he sort of ran away as a coward, and the kingdom sort of denounced him as their king, even though he was a horrible king in the first place. So now they were trying to rebuild. So obviously they're very wary of pirates and don't really give the crew a warm welcome right away. In fact, they even shoot at them. But eventually, after Luffy pretty much begs, along with Vivi, they let him come in and they decide to help Nami. So they go into the village and they meet a man named Dalton, who we later find out was a member of the king's old guard, who often disagreed with the king's ways, but followed them basically because he really didn't have anything else to do. So, at this point, we find out that there is only one doctor in the entire kingdom because of something that happened with the king before, where he basically took all the doctors for himself and banished every other one. The one doctor is said to be a witch, though, and she's supposed to be kind of crazy and mean. So it's kind of weary about whether or not the crew wants to see her to help Nami. Now, at this point, they do decide that it's best that they have to help her, even if this doctor isn't the best person. So Sanji and Luffy decide to take Nami with them and climb up the mountain to the castle where the witch doctor is staying. So they begin going. They meet these creatures called the Lapon, which are basically giant evil rabbit creatures, and which is kind of interesting. But while they're climbing, we find out that the witch doctor, Kureha, is actually down at another village at the moment, healing a sick boy. So basically, after this, Kureha is traveling from village to village, doing what she does. And Luffy, Sanji, and Nami are going up the mountain still. Once they reach the top, though, Kureha and Chopper, Chopper is Kureha's reindeer, are suddenly somehow there. So they obviously know a shortcut how to get up there. So they bring them up and they decide to help, after seeing basically how willing Luffy was to hurt himself and cause himself physical pain and damage just to help his friend. And it's a really good thing. We find out that the old king of the Drum Kingdom was Wapol, the pirate from before. And he returns to the kingdom. So we obviously know he's going to be the main villain. Well, after a while of a little hijinks ensuing, finding out that Chopper is a reindeer who ate a devil fruit, giving him the power to transform into like a partial human-like creature. And he has multiple other transformations as well, but I'm not going to go into all that detail. Wapol comes back and attacks the castle after his soldiers sort of deal with things on the ground. So Wapol's attacking the castle with his generals, and Luffy and them fight them off, and it's a very good battle. You see Chopper get to fight as well, and it's actually a really nice battle. It's a little weird, but again, it's One Piece. We see a lot of things happen. We see a lot of history and a lot of emotion in this arc. We see this little this little like flashback to the past with Chopper. When he first got his powers, he was rejected by his herd. He was rejected by the humans, and he basically felt like he didn't belong. But then he met Dr. Hillaluk, who accepted him like instantly. He didn't see him as a monster. He just saw him as someone, as a person. And he accepted him, and they became best friends. Of course, Hillaluk originally did it mainly to help Chopper, who was injured at the moment. Now, as for the Hillaluk character, he's a quack doctor. He's not good at what he does, but he has a good heart, and even though he's not good at what he does, he's doing it for the right reasons, and I respect that, even if he is a bit of a quack. I mean, in that way, he's sort of the complete opposite of Kureha. Kureha knows what she's doing. She's very skilled, but she's like this just really horrible person with this horrible bedside manner. He, on the other hand, has the great bedside manner. He's a great guy, but on the other hand, he's sort of a quack, and he doesn't know what he's doing. So it's a great contrast there. And we find out that Hillaluk was dying, and that he wanted to make cherry blossoms bloom in the Drum Kingdom to sort of, because he had this healing experience with them in the past. But it only prolonged his illness, and he ended up deciding he was going to try and help Wapol's doctors, the only doctors in the kingdom, just because he wanted to help them. And when he found out they were all safe anyways, he basically knew he was going to die when up there, so he drank basically nitroglycerin and blew himself up. Now I could go on about this arc. It has a lot of raw emotion, and you really see that Chopper is not really trusting of people because of everything he's experienced. So even though he wants to go out to sea and become a pirate, it's hard for him to accept Luffy's invitation, because he's never really had any friends besides Hillaluk, and he's really almost felt betrayed by people in general. But then, there's this one scene that I want to talk about. Chopper is complaining, I'm a reindeer, I'm a monster, I have a blue nose, and he's saying all this stuff that, like, makes him an outcast, and He's saying, I can't join you as pirates because of all this. And Luffy just raises his arms in the air and basically says, shut up. And it just, those simple words shows how much Luffy doesn't give a care what you are or what you look like. And that he values him. And that he thinks he's interesting and thinks he should belong with the crew. And he doesn't care if you're a monster, because honestly, he's a monster. And there's that one scene where Chopper asks Sanji what Luffy is after basically seeing his devil fruit powers. And he's like, what is he? And Sanji gives this big old grin to Chopper and says, a monster. And that's just really nice to see that they're trying to make him feel better about that. Well, eventually, as you might have guessed, they defeat Wapol and Chopper decides to join the crew. Kureha chases Chopper and is almost like threatening to kill him, but she really loves him and it shows that. And then she blasts off this powder that Dr. Hillock made before he died into the sky, creates this beautiful cherry blossom tree look using the powder mixing with the snow in the air around the mountain, makes it look like a cherry tree, and it's just beautiful. And then at the very end, we find out that Dalton, who has basically said he deserves to leave and that because of everything he's done, working with Wapol and all, he decides to stay and help everything rebuild after all. But then we see that there is a guy looking for Luffy, who came to the Drum Kingdom before. He wears this like black cloak, a black hat with a really cool looking black hat, and he introduces himself as Ace. Now, I will only say that he is probably one of the biggest characters in the series coming up, and he has one of the biggest moments of this entire show. So, yeah, he's going to be a big deal. Other than that, the arc pretty much ends there. Luffy and them are out to head to the Alabasta Kingdom next. So, I'll see you in that vlog. Until next time.